Today, we are talking about 10 things that you can do for your professional development right now. And in that, here's the objectives for today. So by the end of the session, you are going to have some opportunities today to explore new ways that you think about your professional development opportunities. These may be some that may already be a little familiar to you, but at the end of the day, it might be presented in a different way that's going to spark a thought or an idea and let you run with it in that way. And then give you an opportunity here to identify at least one way that you can enhance your professional development right now by doing something you want, and basically doing something you want rather than feeling as if it is something like you have to do. Okay. I don't know, Tom, if you saw or anybody else saw this photo of me I posted on LinkedIn earlier this week, but this was about 10 years or so ago when I was working for the Office of the State Superintendent here in Washington, D.C. And part of my job was to do a lot of professional development. We had a big initiative about helping parents and students be college and career ready, and what that meant for parents to help support their kids and for students to understand the value of being college and career ready, both through their elementary, middle, and high school years, but taking them into their college years. I loved having an opportunity to present in front of a room and have a chance to share information. And that was a huge part of my 25-year career in education. And today I end up excuse me one second. Today, I help mid-career professionals show up to find the job they love or love the job they have. In some ways, I think I get to do professional development every single day as part of my job, whether I'm working with a client one-on-one, or as you mentioned with my podcast, the Mid-Career GPS, or even with two of the books that I have written, Show Up, 6 Strategies to Lead a More Energetic and Impactful Career, as well as your Mid-Career GPS, 4 Steps to Figuring Out What's Next. As an executive and career transition coach, I do things to help people bolster and enhance and improve their professional development. But professional development was something that at a certain time in my career was also very, very frustrating. And maybe that's something you feel as well. So one of the things I want you to know about me is that I am a huge game show fan. So if there is a game show that appears on this list right now, I want you to go ahead and type it in the chat. Tell me which one of those 12 is your favorite game show. Or if it's not, tell me which game show is your favorite. Buzzer is a cable channel that does nothing but game shows. It's a great companion to Game Show Network, and I tend to watch it every day. There's usually some shows I really, really like watching on there, and yeah, absolutely, Price is Right. And Tom, that's a really interesting one that you chose, because there are so many things about Price is Right when we think about probability and statistics and number theory. It actually became a huge component of a PD program I ran when I was teaching, and it was called Game Show Mathematics. And the idea behind Game Show Mathematics was to take a series of game shows that were loosely inspired by the 70s and 80s and teach various mathematical concepts such as probability, statistics, geometry, number sense. We used to take the game Plinko and figure out which spot at the top of the board was the one spot that gave you the best advantage of the chip landing in the $10,000 space at the bottom of the board. So you know, it is space 4 or 6, regardless of where you count from the left or the right. That is the space that gives you the best probability of doing it. We use a tool called Pascal's Triangle to figure that all out. It was just a huge ton of fun, right? But the point being is that PD is supposed to be fun. And I paired up with a teacher colleague of mine, and we ended up doing professional development workshops for teachers all across the state of New Jersey that brought these lessons and these game show concepts to them that they could immediately take back to their classroom. If there was one piece of feedback we got, It was that this was beneficial and they could take it back so their students could learn. And that's what I want you to take and pay attention to today. What is the PD that you get to do that makes it beneficial for what you're doing and the people in your audience to learn? And sometimes that can come from a viral moment.
It's 6:24 now on this Thursday. Get up, DC. With so much heavy news today, we wanted to share a bright spot. Take a look at what happened to a reporter in Ohio when he was just trying to get some work done.
I'm trying to work right now. You over here calling my phone. You can say hi. Don't be holding up traffic because you got cars behind you. Are you recording?
She is the mom and all of us. I love her. So the reporter, Miles Harris, posted his mom's little visit on social media, and as you can imagine, the internet loved it. And I just looked into this a little bit. Like, I think he just went back home. He had been working elsewhere and was happy to be back home. And his mama is happy. That's her baby. She has to say hello to her baby. Hey, baby. I love her.
And I love him. I love his reaction to it.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that was great.
Cheered me up yesterday.
I couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah.
So Tom, do you remember that video? Did you see it when it went live? Right? A lot of people did. And that is the first piece or first tip today. Whoops. Not doing good with the tech stuff today. Tip number 1, create your own content. You can find content for your professional development and share it with people in your network. It's something that resonates with you, right? So being able to create your own content in whatever way, shape, or form it is, LinkedIn is a great place to do that. I'm glad it's familiar to you, Tom, right? So what I did was I clipped the video and I put 20 seconds of that video up online, and I did it with this post. We all need someone like Miles Harris's mom to make our day. Who is your biggest fan? And I put a few hashtags in there so it would go into those hashtag rooms that people might see it. But create content for you that you see as valuable and useful, right? So with that, here are some ideas to help you create your own content, right? Maybe you have some kind of technical knowledge to share. You are an expert at what you do. You have some sort of knowledge that you could share with somebody. You could share it in a blog, online, right? You may have something about a particular leadership or core value. Share something that's motivational or inspirational. But when you're creating your own content, here's the thing I want you to remember. Write about what you know and about what you want to share with the world. It's a space where you get to come from where you are competent and confident in what you know, and there is a comfort level around it. Someone is going to love it. It's one of the great things about the LinkedIn platform is that you can put your content out there and someone's going to resonate with it, whether they react or they comment with it. Now, the thing I'm going to say here, though, is that for many people, creating your own content can feel like a huge step. You might be thinking, what if I post something that people aren't going to like or it's not going to resonate with? Trust me, I post a lot of stuff on LinkedIn every week, and there is stuff that doesn't land very well. If you're on my email list, right, or you follow my LinkedIn newsletter, there are times when topics resonate and other times when it doesn't. And here's the other piece. Sometimes people are just busy. It just doesn't catch their eye. They may not have even seen it. The thing is, when you're thinking about your own PD, find your voice. Find it in a way that you get to share something with the world that you say is valuable and important. Social media can be a great way to make that happen. But if you don't want to share your own, create your own content, then comment on other people's content, right? Here's what I mean by that. I took that same post. It got a few hundred views. It got 16 reactions, and it got some comments. I always try to go back and comment or respond when somebody does. But here were 3 comments that came from that post I made regarding Miles Harris's mom. And I want you to look at these 3. And in the chat, I want you to type in for me which one, either number 1, 2, or 3, do you feel is the best comment? Meaning it is the most robust and reactionary type comment on that post. Which one do you think it is? I think it's number 1, 2, or 3. All right, let's see. What'd you say? Yeah, number 1. Tom, I agree with you on that, right? Look at what this person wrote. They said, John, this is beautiful. My mom and dad were my biggest cheerleaders and I miss them daily. Thankfully, my older brothers learned from them and have stepped into the role now. And there's a little heart emoji there, right? When we go to comment on other people's content on LinkedIn, this is our opportunity to share with them what came up for us, what resonated. Find a way to engage with the content creator or the author of the post and share with them what made it special or valuable to you. There is nothing wrong with any of the other comments, but it doesn't prompt a reaction, right? John, I totally agree with you. Okay, thanks. That's great. Right. I think I went back and I like that. Right. LOL. I understand her. I'm also the biggest fan of both of my boys. There is an opportunity to continue that conversation there as we build our professional network. When you go to comment, please make sure that when you're commenting, you are adding something to the conversation, that it isn't always just like 100% agree. Wow, way to go. LOL, heart emoji. Put something in there of substance. Sometimes it's okay just to click the reaction button. That's totally fine. But if you're going to comment, commenting is a great way to continue how you're building your professional development because you're engaged in the conversation. LinkedIn's a great place to do that. Another thing you might want to do is create and administer a survey. I cannot talk today for some reason. I apologize. LinkedIn recently started this survey feature, and it is a great way to take a pulse check of your audience about what it is that they're thinking or feeling in a given moment. So leading up to this PD, I did a survey and I asked a very simple question. As a professional development specialist, I'm curious, have you or your company done anything to plan for your professional development this year? And I got 46 votes. As the author of the poll, I am then able to click on 46 votes and see exactly who the people were who voted and how they voted. That is not able to be seen by the general public. Only the author of the survey can do that. So if you're thinking about a topic that maybe you want to write about or you want to share, or you have a presentation coming up, or there's something going on at work, take it into a poll or a survey on LinkedIn and see what other people are saying or commenting about it. Now, on this one, I didn't get any comments, but I didn't get them because I asked a closed-ended question. I have done other polls where I've asked different questions that are more open-ended, that facilitated more discussion in the post where the survey was being conducted. I didn't do that here. I just wanted a quick yes or no and see what people were saying about that. So surveys are great things. If you're going to do them, though, make sure that you follow through and you honor or follow up with people, that it's just not, you're just doing to put something out there. Make sure you're doing it with intention that it goes somewhere else. Speaking of somewhere else, publishing an article on LinkedIn or elsewhere is another great thing to do. If you've got something that you believe is valuable to share, you want to engage with your audience, there's great things to do. You can do an article or create a newsletter on LinkedIn. I publish my LinkedIn newsletter every single week, usually on Wednesdays. Admittedly, sometimes when I get really busy, it goes to Thursdays, but I try to stick the landing on Wednesdays, just like I do with my regular email. Or blog, or find somebody who is looking for people to guest author and provide content on their website or their blog posts or for their social media, whatever that is. But publishing an article is a great way for you to get clearer about all of the things that professionally matter to you and that which you want to share. All right. Here's number 5. Attend a conference or even present at a conference, right? So this was an interesting one. So one of the things I didn't share with you at the beginning is that I am a professional bowler. I actively compete on the PBA regional tour, and I have a ton of fun doing it. It has always been a big part of my life. And to have an opportunity to go play with the best on the weekends has been something I truly enjoy. So you can imagine how excited and honored I was when the United States Bowling Congress reached out to me and asked me to be a keynote speaker for their Open Championships event. So this picture right here, this is not your typical bowling alley. This is actually inside of the convention center in Syracuse, New York. So imagine, this was pre-pandemic too, but imagine walking into a conference center or convention center, and there's 48 bowling lanes in the middle of it. The United States Bowling Congress for over 110 years now has hosted this national tournament where they welcome over 40,000 people across 5 to 6 months for an event where people come and they bowl 3 games of team, 3 games of singles, and 3 games of doubles for this national tournament. What you may not know is that there are over 50 dedicated staff who work this event for 6 months out of the year. They are there from setup to breakdown, getting the lanes installed, taking the lanes out of there, making sure all of the players and the athletes who come to bowl the event are well taken care of. There are so many different facets to this event, and I was honored to have an opportunity to come and talk about what it means to show up, and a program I also coach and speak about called Energy Leadership. So sometimes we want to be behind the podium, and that is okay. We've got things to share. It's one of the great things about our professional development is we get to decide what it is that we want to talk about or what we want to share. Maybe you want to start a book club or start a group. These are their low effort options that can really reap some high reward, right? You may decide to start a book club within your company or your organization, or maybe you decide to start a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or a meetup. Anything like that where you can get people who are of like mind and similar interest to gather and talk about things that are professional in nature that you want to either A, learn more about, or B, solve a particular problem, great stuff can happen there. And as the moderator or facilitator of the group, a lot of times people are looking for someone who can provide that kind of structure to the group and just host. If we've learned anything over the pandemic, having a 45-minute Zoom meeting is probably one of the easiest things we do right now. Gathering people together to share that kind of information can really and truly enhance your professional development because you're getting ideas from other people. So something to think about there. Get an accountability partner, right? Who is it in your network that you want to pull in a little bit closer to hold you accountable for the things you want to do? It might be something as simple as like, look, hold me accountable for making a post on LinkedIn or writing this blog post in the next month. This doesn't have to be something you do every single day, But one of the great things about having accountability partners, and I have a couple of them for various things, is that they always make sure that whatever it is that you want to accomplish or do is staying top of mind. And that is key, especially when it comes to your professional development. Say when your company isn't providing a lot of trainings or opportunities or things, just get two people together. There can be your PD, and there can be your PD to just move things along. Maybe you want to start a passion project, or if you work certain places, sometimes they refer to it as going on detail. What is it that you want to learn that you really haven't had chance to do? There are companies out there right now, Google is one of them, as I recall, where they provide opportunities for their employees to pursue a passion project. They allocate a certain amount of time every single week that they get to focus on something that they mutually agree is a value add to the company. So, for example, maybe there is a share drive in your company that houses a lot of learning materials and training or onboarding resources where, quite honestly, it's just a mess. You may want to be like, look, give me some hours, I'll clean all this up. That can be part of your PD. Part of your PD may be pursuing or researching a new technical component to your industry or to your job. That might be something that may come in, or there's a particular tool or software that you want to use in your company, and nobody has really stepped up to be the one to learn it and train everybody on it. Maybe that's you, right? Think about what it is that you want to learn. Turn that into your PD. You may want to take a course. There are some great opportunities out there for virtual learning right now, both with LinkedIn Learning, sites like Coursera, Udemy. Those are some great options there for you to go ahead and take a course at little to no cost around something you want to learn. Maybe you want to pick up another language, right? But find a course that is of interest to you and run with it. And then lastly, find a mentor or even hire a coach, right? Having somebody who is there to maybe be an additional prong to that accountability partner. But those things can be very, very helpful, that you're not doing this in isolation. You're not alone in terms of how you build your professional development and working toward the things that you see are important for you. So I'm going to pause here for a minute. I want to open it up for any questions. Feel free to put them in a chat. And I do have one bonus tip I'm going to share with you, but I'm going to hold off on that because I've been talking a while. So if you have any questions, Tom, specifically, if you do, go ahead, put that in the chat. Let me know if anything interests you, motivated you, something you want to maybe learn a little bit more about. Let me know. All right, while you're thinking about that, I'm going to go to this one. My bonus tip is to conduct informational interviews. I know I presented 10 tips for you. This one is one of those that I specifically wanted to have it and stand out on its own. When you're thinking about what you're doing in your career, what's leading your field or who is leading your field, or maybe you're contemplating some kind of career change, conducting informational interviews are without question, in my opinion, some of the best professional development you will ever get. And to help you structure that, here are some ground rules. Once you've identified somebody who you would like to invite to an informational interview, state your intention. Be very specific with them about why you want to talk to them. I'm curious talking to you about how you got into your vice president role, because as someone who currently is serving as a senior manager, I'm interested in moving into an executive position someday, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about you and your career path. Would you be willing to set aside 15 minutes for us to have a phone call, a virtual conversation, a virtual coffee, whatever that might be? I have found throughout my career that if people have the time, they will make it for you. They love sharing their stories. They love being able to share a tip or a piece of advice that they wish they had known years ago that they believe is going to help you. When you're very clear about the intention for the informational interview, more than likely, especially if they can, they're going to say yes. So as you're preparing for that informational interview, come up with 3 great questions you want to ask. Have them in your back pocket. Make sure that those questions are great, right? They're specific, they're clear, they pull on that person's particular experience that you've been able to research or find about them online. Make sure those questions, when they get answered, are the exact questions you want to have answered, because that information is going to help you move forward. But the other thing is be respectful of their time. If you set up a 15-minute call, don't go 16 minutes. If you find yourself running a little bit longer, ask for permission if it's okay you go over by a few minutes. But don't turn that 15-minute call into 30 if you set a ground roll or an invite that was only going to be 15 minutes. And then lastly, thank them in several ways. When you have an informational interview with somebody, there are some things at little to no cost you can do. First and foremost, send them an email and thank them. If you are connected with them on LinkedIn, endorse them for the skills that they talked about during that informational interview. Go into their profile, find where their skills section is, click on the plus sign next to those skills. That will give them some free LinkedIn SEO and help them appear a little bit more up in whatever LinkedIn algorithm is currently running at this time. Send them a $5 gift card to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts if they drink coffee, right? Say to them, look, I'd like to make a small donation to your favorite charity. Tell me what it is, I'll make it in your name. Right? Things that may cost you $5 or $10 for someone who gave you 15 minutes of their time is a really nice way to express your appreciation, and it will make you memorable. You're building a relationship with someone that you honestly never know you might go back to and talk to. All right. Let's see. What do we have in the chat? Okay. From a career perspective, what advice do you have on sharing content of different interests from your current profession on LinkedIn? All right, Tom, to clarify here, when you say sharing content of different interest, can you tell me what you mean by that? That's a really good question. I just want to make sure I'm understanding exactly what you mean here. I will say this. If you are sharing content on LinkedIn, and Tom, keep typing in there so I make sure I get this right though. If you're sharing content on LinkedIn, you want to share stuff that is obviously professional in nature. You're never sharing any kind of secret or proprietary information. You don't want to do that. But if, and I saw this when I was a math teacher, right? I'll give you an example of it this way, and maybe this helps. You know how you add 3-digit numbers together? Like if you had a 3-digit number like 257 and 426, if you went to add them up, typically the way we were taught is you would add them up in the ones column, then you'd add up the hundreds column, you'd add tens column, you'd add up the hundreds column, there'd be your answer. I used to teach my kids to add them left to right and do it in their head. Right? So you'd have 200, 400 to 600, then you'd have 670, 690, and we'd add it. And they're like, Mr. Neral, you can't do it that way. What do you mean I can't do it that way? I got the right answer. The goal here is solve the problem, get the right answer. You can present different perspectives to encourage people to think and explore beyond that. Now, Tom, to your point, though, if you are entertaining, say, a career shift or career transition, and you're thinking about different industries and stuff, you can share content about that. I would find a way to maybe tie it or connect it in your current role as to why you are sharing it, right? Pull it back in some way. Usually there's always a way to make a connection back. But, let's say, for example, if somebody is in advertising, right, and they had a really specific interest in tax accounting, right? You could find a way to connect those two together that still doesn't feel like you are stepping out of your lane, where if you are concerned that someone whom you are connected with on LinkedIn may actually see it, comment on it, and question if you're going to be leaving your job, right? If you don't want that to happen, then by all means, just find a way to kind of keep connecting that way. The other thing to do is pull people into your network from that other field you are interested in pursuing and pull them in and then do an informational interview with them, right? You don't have to post or share content about it. You can learn about that particular field by just getting to know people individually or comment on other people's posts that are in that particular field that you're interested in. I don't see anything wrong in that. Is still building your professional network and building your own professional development in that way. So let me know if that answered your question and if that was helpful or not. Okay, we'll do that. So for everybody that is on the replay, okay, good. I'm glad, Tom. Thanks for the confirmation there. Okay, so for everybody that's catching this on the replay, here are the 11 tips that I shared with you today to help you take better control of your professional development and things that you may want to do. And obviously, if these are things that you are interested in doing, I'm going to encourage you to pick one. Pick one over the next 30 days that you get to do. Right? So if it's about creating content, maybe your goal is to post one thing a week on LinkedIn about your own content, or Facebook, Instagram, whatever your social media channel of choice is, right? If you want to figure out what a particular passion project might be at work, start having conversations around that, figuring out what it is that you want to do. I'm going to leave you with this thought. And leave you with this thought here when it comes to professional development. Professional development is about taking action. It is about doing something that is going to enhance or bolster your career path in a way that you want it to grow at that point in time. One of the things that holds people back from doing any of those 11 things that I shared is that they believe if they just think about it, that's okay. That's a step. The action or the execution part is to take any of those things that I shared with you today and act on it. Do something. Professional development is active and engaging. It is an actionable task that you are doing to increase your professional knowledge, skill set, and expertise. So get to it. Do something there. I'm going to open it up for any more questions or things. But again, I hope this gave you and everybody else something to think about today in terms of your professional development and what that looks like. So if you have any further questions, by all means, you can reach out to me, John@johnneral.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on social at John Neral Coaching, either on Facebook Business or on Instagram. And if you are not part of my private Facebook group, you are more than welcome to join. It is called Your Mid-Career GPS. So simply come in. You're going to join a group of like-minded people who, just like you, are all trying to figure out whatever is next for their career. So, Tom, I'm going to commit to more content sharing for the next 30 days as a result of this. Absolutely. And here's how I'm going to help you and support you with that. All right. One, you can tag me in your post, right? Tag me in your post. First post that you do, tag me in it. Let me know that you got it. If I don't see it, nudge me, but by all means, tag me in it. I would love to support and comment on what it is that you're posting. I'm happy to do that. If you don't want to tag me in it, that's fine too. Just go to the 3 dots on the right-hand side of that post, copy the link, and message me about it on LinkedIn, and I'll give you some celebratory kudos for that as well. So I am happy to be a supporter and cheerleader of you in this effort. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. You got it, my friend. And to everybody out there, I wish you a great rest of the day. If you have any other ideas for future PD, drop me a message, let me know, or any other future webinars and stuff. And until next time, remember, how we show up matters, and I wish you a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for spending time with me. Take care and be safe. I will talk to you soon.